Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Virginia Walton. I'm an executive burnout coach, helping corporate women in risk management roles continue to strive and be their best versions, both professionally and personally, while minimizing feelings of exhaustion and overwhelm so that they can minimize risk at work. First, you got to minimize it in yourself. Prior to starting my coaching practice, I spent 24 years in the banking and finance industry, mostly in risk roles. I worked my way from teller at a small community bank to senior vice president of a $27 billion bank by the age of 38. I'd love to tell you I did everything right and slid easily up that corporate ladder, but I'd be lying. So now I'm looking to help other women in similar roles have the same or greater success, but to do it with a lot less stress and a lot more energy, right? What's the expression? Work smarter, not harder. So I want to help you get where you want to be without feeling exhausted and overwhelmed all the time. So that's why today's topic is um, 3 ways for women in risk to stop feeling alone. Now, granted, now that we're coming out of the pandemic, some may feel really alone. We were all in the house all the time. I couldn't get 5 minutes alone. Or I always think of my friends when their kids were little and they would say, I would give anything to be able to go to the bathroom by myself or just go and have 10 minutes without anybody going, Mom, right? So I'm not talking about that physically being alone, but sometimes you feel alone at the table, alone in yourself, right? Like nobody understands. Particularly, I think if you're in a risk role. I know I used to get called business prevention, the regulatory police. I literally had a coworker who he wasn't often, he was a sales guy, so he wasn't in the office often. We share the same birthday. And he was in one day and I'm like, oh, aren't you going to come say hi? He goes, aren't you like internal affairs? And I'm like, we really are working all for the same goal. But depending upon what kind of culture you're in, sometimes risk is perceived as a necessary evil rather than a partner. And that makes it hard to just get through your daily work sometimes when that's the view, right? Or if you're an audit, right? Nobody wants to talk to the auditors. I did. I viewed them as partners. Now, granted, there are some people in audit and risk roles who they live to find an issue. They want to be gotcha. And that's not collaborative. But I know those are the minorities. So I'm thinking most of you don't fall into that bucket. Probably all of you don't fall in that bucket, right? And there were times I was at odds with my own risk partners because they never worked in the business side. They didn't have that perspective. And I clearly remember having conversations going, you realize this puts us out of market. And they're like, so? And I go, okay, if we have no customers, we don't have jobs either. There's nothing for us to manage and audit and monitor if there's no business, right? So it's a tough spot to be in. And there can be times that you're the only one at the table and they're chasing the newest shiny object and everybody's seeing potential for a new segment, a new product, an acquisition. And you have to be the one that says time out. That's out of appetite. That's not allowed based on our regulation. So in essence, you're not saying no, you're saying not that way. But the people on the other side of the table may not hear not now or it has to be different. They hear no. So it's tough. You're doing your job. You're doing it fantastically. But the nature of your role at times puts you at odds. And usually you're the only one at the table, right? Everybody else is gung ho. IT's figuring out how to solve for the solution, how to build the new tool you need to support that market, how to integrate the systems if it's a merger, right? And others are seeing dollar signs and new customers, new clients, new opportunities, right? Or growth in their own teams. And you got to be time out, time out. It can feel really alone. And often, if there's multiple people at the table, not on your view, they might start to come at you. Again, it's not you personally, it's the information you put on the table. So it may become confrontational. So now they're on the defensive, you're on the defensive, right? Again, typically when you feel you're the only one playing defense, you feel alone, right? Think about it if you played sports or even watched your kids play sports and the whole team is up on the offensive side of the field and the other team gets a quick break, whether it's soccer, or basketball, whatever. And the whole other team is charging at you because you're the only one back there playing defense because you guys have been on the offense. Or you see your poor little one with all these kids running at them and you're like, oh no. I've seen that happen with my girls. So how do you not feel that instinct to be defensive? First off, if they're having that reaction, smile, right? If you've ever worked in a call center or a similar type environment, you're often trained, smile when you answer the phone because it comes through. So think about it. If they're sharing their perspective, maybe it's frustration at what you've done correctly, just smile. One, it's hard to feel defensive if you're smiling, right? It calms you. Hey, if they get annoyed, what are they going to do? Call HR? She smiled at me. HR is going to be like, yeah, so that's good. I'm picturing some of my former colleagues and I could picture that they might have gotten annoyed. And I could actually hear ones calling my boss, the chief risk officer, saying, Virginia smiled at me and be like, are you an idiot? I mean, really? So it puts you in a comfortable spot inside. So smile. Second, you need a support system, right? Whether you think of it as your tribe, your squad, your posse, your village, call it whatever you want, right? I like to think of it as village, right? Because I love the expression, it takes a village, right? Usually we think about that it takes a village to raise children. Well, guess what? We don't stop growing once we hit 18 or 21 or fall off our parents' insurance. We are still growing. We need a village. You probably already have one started and you don't even realize it. And no, I'm not talking about the girls that for, girls' night out. That's part of it. Don't get me wrong. But in our corporate environment, we're encouraged to have a mentor, a sponsor, an advocate to help us advance professionally, right? Mentors are sharing their experience so you can learn and grow. Advocates are speaking on your behalf when there's opportunities. You have probably more than one type of doctor, right? You've got your physician, you've got an OB, you've got a dentist, maybe a chiropractor, maybe a therapist. If you have, that's just to be healthy. If you have an issue, you probably have others like an orthopedist, a cardiologist. The list goes on, right? That's just to keep you well. So you've got part of your system is supporting you professionally at work. You've got your medical professionals that support you, even if you're healthy, and you probably have others, right? A personal trainer, a nutritionist, your favorite nail tech, a hairdresser, a massage therapist, right? Again, all to keep you well on the outside. And if it's a nutritionist, right, to keep you healthy. This is where a coach comes in. We help you get to your goals, personal, professional, We create accountability for you. We help you find the solutions for you, right? Just like your personal trainer gives you the workout based on where you are and what you need to get to your goals. You and I could go to the same trainer. We're not going to get the same workouts because we're at different spots. We have different physiques. Same is true with a coach, right? I actually had a client say to me, she picked me as her coach because she too is in risk management. And while she has a therapist and a wonderful husband, and they're very supportive, they don't get it, right? I always think of, I was the Chandler Bing of my family. Maybe you can relate. They know you have a job. They kind of know what you do, but where you work, but they have no idea what you do, right? When I got my last big promotion, I was at a family event and my aunt goes, Ginny, that's what they call me, how are things at work? And I said, it's great. I got promoted to the senior risk officer for the commercial division of the bank. And she looked at me. Is that a good thing? I said, yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'm reporting directly to the chief risk officer of the bank. She's like, good, we're happy for you. And she genuinely was, but she really had no idea. And pretty much nobody in my family does. Even I had coworkers in my office who were like, what exactly do you do? So you need somebody who understands what you deal with all day, right? And that may not be your spouse. It may not be your best friend. You need somebody in your system who, when you say, listen, I did exactly what I was supposed to do, and you should have seen the looks I got. If looks could kill, I would have been dead 6 times type stuff. Have somebody in your corner who can help you, right? That said, here's the third tip. You got to evaluate that system periodically too, right? You evaluate processes, you evaluate metrics. You need to do these things in your personal life too. We're managing your own personal risk of exhaustion and burnout. We all have friends and family are in our support system. And we all have some that they just drain you, right? You want to be there for them. You want to support them. But every time you get a call or a text, it's one complaint after the next. As a risk person, right? Your first thing is to try to solve the issue. It's what we do. They don't want a solution. They just want a bitch. That's exhausting. So look at the relationships you have in your support system. Make sure they're serving you. This is true too of your mentor. If you've gotten to the point and your mentor has given you everything they've got, great. Find a new mentor. I've had multiple coaches, right? I've worked with leadership coaches when I got what I needed out of that and got to the point where I was. Then it's like, I need to work on this other aspect. And so you find a new one that meets your needs. Periodically go and look at your system, because if you're not getting the support you need, something's not right. There's an issue. Resolve it. Pick a plan. Not that you need to cut off ties, but you have a conversation. If it's somebody at work, hey, thanks. I appreciate that you've mentored me for the last 6, 12, 18 months. I feel like I've gotten a lot from you, and I think I'm ready to move on. Great. They'll be excited. They helped you. Now, it might be a little harder with a friend. So maybe you just don't reach out and check up. You kind of create some more space. So there's not so many times where they're draining you. Because those relationships will make you feel alone. Because they're often very one-sided. They're just taking. They're not giving, right? It needs to be both on a relationship. Okay. So 1, remember, if you've done your job and you've done it well, and that puts you at odds with the others at the table or the others on the Zoom, that's on them. You've done the right thing. You have done what your job is. Just like they brought the opportunity to the table. That's their job. Now you got to find a solution together. So just smile. If they're having a bad reaction and you're feeling like you're the only one with that stance in the room, it's okay. 1, you're not alone. Every risk person is dealing with this. So we're here for you. We can support you. Just smile. smile. And if you have to keep from like just going to that bad spot, no. Okay, maybe that's not professional, but you get the point. Hold your ground. And if you're smiling, you're going to be okay. You're not taking it personally. You're like, okay, they need to say what they needed to say. Now we can dig in and find a solution. Have the support system, and it's got to include people that understand what you deal with. Because as wonderful as your family and friends may be, if they don't get it, you're still going to feel alone when it comes to this stuff, right? And make sure that you're continuing to evaluate that system so you've got all the parts you need. So if this resonated and you're like, yes, I need somebody in my support system that gets it. Hi, I'm here. Drop me a comment. Send me a message. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. Drop me a message. Check out my website, virginiawalton.com. There's more videos and articles with tips like this. Again, it's virginiawalton.com. And with that, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.